Christopher Fox. It's good to be here with you all. Hey, there we are. We're still working on getting Roop. There it is in the room. He got kicked off, but he's on his way back in. We're glad you guys could join us. Just want to thank Rob Machado again, as we do every week, for putting together that music for us. It really kicks. You can catch his stuff at ReverbNation.com. Rob Machado at ReverbNation.com. So go over there, check out his stuff. He's got a lot of sick stuff that you can listen to, and you can download on your own. Roop, there it is, my co-host, as always, best in the business. Even if our business is still small, big business doesn't know what they're missing. Roop, there it is. How are you today, bud?
I'm tired. Those restless nights, anxiety's 10 times higher. I'm checking my lineup. I'm laughing. I'm crying. I'm cheering. I'm screaming at the TV because football is back, baby.
And football is here with a vengeance. Did you catch a game last night? I know you had some contest riding on Waller, which I think is great to have players on Monday nights. I almost always try to play my Monday night players. That's a little key when you're playing against me. You can know if he's got a Monday night player, he's probably going to save him because I love doing it. How'd that work out for you? How'd it go? Waller went off.
But I needed him to get like about 26 points exactly. And so I won one, lost one, I lost one, won one. So it was like a flip-flop. And so I won 3 out of my 5 leagues. So, there's that.
Hey, that's pretty good. I think I dropped all but one of my first week, but I'm actually okay with that. I don't mind doing that, especially in the waiver wire, the priority wire. I actually get first pick on the waiver wire this week. So that's nice, little added incentive there. I don't mind losing week 1. Someone has to lose week 1. If I start stringing together 2 or 3, I'll get a little worried. But congratulations on at least 3 for you. So who was your big win, your player that showed up and did probably more than you thought they were going to, versus the guy who just crapped the bed?
I mean, obviously Dylan Waller was a big one, but I talked about it in the show. I said I was going to draft him. And Corey Davis, he showed up. He showed up big time.
He sure did. You were not the only one talking about him. I was not talking about him, but maybe I should have been. Corey Davis definitely had a great day. I believe he finished in the top 10, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yeah, number 5, finished top 5. Nice 5 for 7, 97 yards, grabbed himself a couple TDs, which really padded that stat line. If you went ahead and I don't know, we're going to find out if I think it's a combination of Jets being underestimated as far as not as a team, but fantasy wise, versus the fact that they played Carolina. I think that probably helped a little bit as well. But yeah, big day for Corey Davis. Of course, Deebo Samuel is definitely one of the big stars of the week. Just showed up when no one else did for that team. A stat line of 189. That's ridiculous to put up 189 in week 1. Will it continue? I don't know. We're going to talk about it this week on the show. Some other big numbers coming in. Thielen scored you 30 if you had him in a PPR. Winston also did 30. We're going to talk about him as well. McCaffrey did what McCaffrey does. He finished first PPR, as always, third and standard with 28 points PPR. Hopkins had a great week. If you did when it got stuck or painted in a corner, or where you didn't want to be come 4th, 5th round, and you decided to take Hawkinson for your tight end way early after the first 3, you were rewarded with 24 points this week, and you're hoping that continues. So good on you if you grabbed Hawkinson. Great grab. some people that did not do so well. If you had Ayuk, of course, that was a big goose egg for you. The entire Green Bay team just didn't even show up to play this week. We'll see if they show up for their week one next week. Yeah. Diggs, you're hoping Diggs does a little better. He had 14 targets, but he only caught 9 of them for 69 yards. That's not helpful. When your big guys do that. Metcalf, he caught 4 of his 5 passes, but he only got 5 balls thrown to him. Of course, Lockett had the big day over there. Matt Ryan only turned in a few points. J-Rob only turned in a few points. Julio only got you 5.9, and that's in a PPR. So Mike Evans didn't really show up for you on Thursday. The entire Pittsburgh offense, receivers, top receiver had 52 yards, 45 and 38 after that. Of course, Harris only had 45 yards himself. That's okay, guys. Don't worry. Roethlisberger as well, 56%. Do not panic. 56% pass completion for Roethlisberger. Horrible, but defense comes through and help them win the game. So go Steelers. Who crapped the bed for you? There it is.
Oh, no one really in my lineup technically. Well, okay, Marquise Callaway did. He's supposed to be the number 1 in New Orleans, and they threw 5 touchdowns during the game, and he didn't get one of them. So I'm not going to panic, but I am raising an eyebrow to it. Because when you're talking like someone like Jameis Winston, when you look at his stats, what was he, like 14 of 20 for?
Yeah, no, Winston went 14 of 20, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Great day. We're definitely going to bring Winston back up. We're going to talk more about him during the show today because he deserves to be talked about.
Who said for you?
Luckily, I had Rodgers and Adams, so that was nice. That was a good combo. Got the double thing there. I had Roethlisberger going in another league, so that was helpful. DK Metcalf was running on me for some teams, so that was nice. Luckily, I think I had Ayuk on the bench. Good. Lucky call there. Oh, and I had J-Rob. I have J-Rob in at least half my league, so that was nice to have as well.
At least you didn't play Tyreek Hill, which is one of my losses. But
yeah, no, I'm glad I didn't play Tyreek Hill, who went off for 37 points, beaten only by Amari Cooper at 39. Yeah, that's just too bad. Murray and Mahomes with 33 points each. So if you drafted them early, you got early payback in week 1. Good on you as well. Congratulations. I want to touch, before we continue on real fast, on Saquon Barkley, because some people will say it was one of the fumbles this week, and I disagree with that. It's his first week back. He's done 15 games in 2 years. He's coming off a major injury. Carried 10 times for 26 yards. Not a horrible stat line. I'm going to steal your quote. You said it yesterday when we were talking. He did exactly what he was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they said they were going to limit him. They did. If you didn't pay attention, it cost you if he was in your lineups, if you didn't have another choice because you took him early. But we knew that he was going to score a little bit lower. He could have got lucky, but, temper it, hold on, it'll be okay. He'll get his feet back. He's just now getting hits. So let him take a few hits, get comfortable, and then, in a couple of weeks, see where he's at.
Yeah, yesterday limited in practice still, so they're just bringing him along slowly, but, he's doing well so far. No sign, a little rusty or whatever, but he's definitely ready to go, and they're ready to get him in there. They're just going to take their time with him so that you guys as fantasy owners can really get the bulk of his talent on your scoreboard come later on, come a couple weeks in this season. So just be patient on Barkley. And I don't think anybody's panicking on Barkley. I hope nobody's panicking on Rodgers and the Green Bay squad just yet. Let's give them a couple weeks to come. Well, really, they should come around this week. They've got a Monday night battle against Detroit. They usually own Detroit. Detroit's defense gave up like 41 points or something to San Francisco. So this is a defense that can be scored on. Their offense is playing right now, and they will come up again. Detroit Goff goes 38 for 57, got throw the ball 57 times, puts up 338 and 3 touchdowns. A nice stat line for Goff yesterday. Is versus San Francisco, which is even more amazing because San Francisco is supposed to have one of the premier defenses this year, and they did not show up yesterday. It was just a big score fest for fantasy owners everywhere.
Yeah, it was pretty surprising with Goff, but I mean, it's Detroit, and their defense is going to allow some points on the board. So, no matter who's back there at QB, healthy or not, is going to be throwing the ball. And I'm surprised he didn't get more yards, how many times he threw it, but, they're just getting used to each other, so give it some time.
Yeah, 338 is usually going to qualify for a bonus point at 300, bonus point or two at 300 yards, and expect that again next week. It's probably going to be another shootout. If Rodgers and them show up, they should be playing from behind again. So, look to get some points out of Detroit. So when we talk about Detroit, obviously we're going to talk about Swift, and Swift with 11 carries and 9 receptions yesterday, so puts up a nice stat line. But also notice that Williams had 9 carries and 9 receptions, so almost as many carries, almost a 50-50 split there, 11 to 9. They both had 9 receptions, which really helped the stat line in a PPR. If you're in a standard league, you're probably not too happy with them because you're not getting those 9 receptions in the yards. But those 9 receptions, that's 9 points, free points for you, and expect more of that again from playing from behind.
Yeah, that's definitely going to happen. And you know what? Don't worry about, all the players we're going to talk about. But remember, stay tuned after a little bit later. We're going to talk about, the college chaos continues. That's going to be some fun stuff. And so fantasy-wise, who's picking up Josh Gordon?
Josh Gordon, yeah, go ahead and pick up Josh Gordon. Pick him up right along with Le'Veon Bell, and go ahead and start them both on your team, and let me know how your fantasy season goes. I will not be picking up Josh Gordon. I did for fun because I had an extra spot pick up Le'Veon Bell, but I actually dropped him today to make room on my roster.
I have Le'Veon Bell too, and when we talk later, you'll see why I shouldn't have him on my team, but I do. And as soon as I picked him up, and then Latavius Murray signs and starts playing, I'm like, well, this is fun. So that's fantasy football for you.
Yeah. So let's go ahead. Let's get into it. Let's look at some of the guys that we're going to watch on the waiver wire. We're going to be watching in the next couple of weeks. And as we do that, we will get into the ads and the drops that you're going to be looking for. There's a lot of people to talk about this week. I'm going to jump right in with the guy that everybody seems to be looking at, and that's Elijah Mitchell out of San Francisco.
Yeah. If you're going to go for him, you're going to have to bid big because everybody's looking at him in that backfield, and I'm kind of worried about the backfield. Even though I have Sermon on my team, I don't know. I don't know if it's safe. I don't know who's really going to start. It's scary, and if you're trying to go for him, you're going to have to bid big, and it's going to be a bidding war for sure.
Yeah. So Elijah Mitchell yesterday goes 19 for 104. But one of those runs was 38. His longest run was 38. So that drops his stat line, and we put this out on the group page and the Facebook page to 18 carries. What did we say? It was 18 carries for like 66 yards, 3.6 average instead. He had 0 receptions. So if you're in a PPR, that's not going to help you any. And, like you said, Sermon has yet to touch the ball. He'll probably be in this week, I would think. So you would think Mitchell and Sermon are definitely going to be splitting carries. I'm honestly very very surprised and, as you said, worried about should people be picking up Mitchell already when Sermon hasn't even touched the ball. And again, Mitchell's stat line wasn't really that great. You take away that 38-yard run, and he got 66 yards on 18 carries. If anybody else had 18 for 66, you would not get so excited. But you get that over the 104, over the 100 yards, and everybody starts freaking out. And I think it might be a bit early.
Yeah, it will be. And Aurora says, should I put Mayfield on my bench this week? What do you guys think?
Mayfield balled out this week. He could have got the win. They're playing against Houston. Houston's coming into town. And, of course, Houston had Jacksonville last week. So let's just go ahead and use that to transition into one of the performances this week that a lot of people were looking at, and that's Trevor Lawrence. So Jacksonville already getting branded a dumpster fire, I would say, on defense. They're definitely the defense to look for. So would I put Mayfield on the bench? Absolutely not. Tyrod Taylor this week, it put up numbers, definitely got himself in the conversation. I got Tyrod he went 21 of 33, 291, 2 touchdowns, 4 runs for 40 yards. If you're looking for a waiver pickup at quarterback, he might be someone for you to target because he's only owned in 4% of leagues because he plays for Houston. But check the schedule and see if he's someone to get in there. But to answer Aurora's question, should you put Mayfield on the bench? Absolutely not. If there's anybody not to put on the bench, it's Mayfield this week because he's facing that that Houston defense that let Lawrence throw 3 touchdowns. Yes, Lawrence got 3 picks as well, but you expect someone like Mayfield to not make better decisions being seasoned as he is, having a year in anyway.
Yeah, Tyrod's going to take care of the ball. He wants to win, especially against his old team. So you know what? He's going to try to ball out there, and he's going to have to. And Baker Mayfield does not want back-to-back losses. You know, they're a championship team, and they want to act like it. So I think he's going to ball out. I would play him. I mean, obviously, if you think you have a better quarterback, better situation. But Mayfield is hungry. You can tell how angry he is with his interception. He ain't crying. He's mad that, he got that interception. I don't blame him because he wants that win. He's a competitor, and he's going to ball out.
Yeah, and the thing is they're at home as well, and Mayfield's not going to drop that home opener after losing in Kansas City last week. He's definitely coming hard. Houston's going to have a game, and I don't think Houston is going to have the defense to deal with that type of attitude and swagger that Cleveland's going to run in with on Sunday. You're welcome, Aurora. Thank you for asking the question. Thanks for watching Yards After the Catch. Excuse me.
I have a little funny story because I want to get into a QB that I'm thinking about, trending upwards, if you will. I was having a dream last night since football has been on my mind all week long. And I'm just out in this tournament and I'm just running, catching passes from this quarterback. And I'm like, I know him. Like, how am I, there's like a pro-am thing going on.
Yeah, I'm retired.
Yeah. For some reason, Zach Wilson is throwing me, maybe because what he did for Corey Davis, and I just wanted to, catch it, be big money like that. So he's only rostered in 17% of the leagues, and he's gonna have to throw the ball a lot because he's playing 7 or 8 games this year where the teams will be getting touchdowns on the Jets. He's going to have to be throwing a lot. They will score, so he's going to be passing a lot.
You see him playing. Yeah, you definitely see him as one of the guys playing from behind a lot. 20 of 37, 258, 2 touchdowns and a pick against the Carolina Panthers. So again, if Zach Wilson's throwing like that, maybe if you're playing the Carolina Panthers, you might want to consider playing which Jameis Winston is going to be doing this week. Jameis Winston, a lot of people hot on Jameis Winston right now. Again, like Mitchell, I'm wondering if it might be a little premature. I do think Winston's going to go do well this season, and I'm actually going to play him against Carolina because of the stat line that Wilson put up. But to put this week's performance into a little perspective with the 5 touchdowns, he only threw for 148 yards. So he didn't even put up a $150. It was the 5 touchdowns that got you the points. We're only rostered in 34.6% of leagues. So if Winston is available, I would personally go get him if you have the room, if you have the spot, especially if you have Fitzpatrick, who is now on IR. Winston might be a great replacement for you to fill in for Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. Someone's trending downwards, though. You know who it is. It's Andy Dalton. He's owned over 70% of the leagues, but he's not doing. He either got you negative points or maybe 10 points this week.
Yeah, Andy Dalton, 27 to 38 for 206. At least he didn't have a pick.
He just taking care of it.
Yeah, he took care of the ball so much that he didn't even get it to his own people very much.
He's got to throw 14 every game now. That's what he has to do. He has to keep that job.
He's trying to hang on. Fields already got in and got the touchdown. I would think it's safe to say that Dalton's days are numbered. I don't know if Fields is going to be the answer. Chicago went through 4 left guards yesterday in one game. 4 left guards, all out for at least a few weeks. So one of the right guards is going to come over there and try and fill that spot. But, I can tell you that not from experience, but just from being around football guys, there's a big difference in right guard and left guard. And you're going to see some jumps, and you're going to see some miscues, and you're going to see Andy Dalton on his back a few times because of this.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about just the Bears in general. I'm not too sure about them, and I'll talk about them a little bit later. And I want to move on to running back, because Eli Mitchell is everybody's going to be gunning for. So I want to give you somebody else to look for. I actually like Mark Ingram.
Yes.
He's owned in 22% of the leagues, and he rushed 26 times for 85 yards and a touchdown. Volume
the guy had 26 carries, and what I like about that, and you're going to see me talk about that a lot with people, is the usage. If he's getting the ball 26 times, now he's not a receiver, 0 receptions amongst that. So if you're in PPR, be a little more cautious looking at him, but he can still put up numbers. RB16 even in PPR yesterday. With his 26 carries. But that shows usage, and the fact that they used him that much in week 1 definitely would suggest that they're probably going to keep feeding him the rock as much as they can. So I agree with you very much that Mark Ingram is a nice look this week. And to stay with the running backs, I actually don't have a lot of running back ads this week. Again, the position is thin, so a lot of the people are already taken and is already filled. But I actually like, and you talked a lot about him, Mr. Hines out there in Indianapolis. Obviously, Taylor's the guy. Taylor had, I think, 14 carries, but Hines still had 9. I think Taylor had 17 carries, but Hines still came in with 9 for 34. But where you're going to get your points, like we talked about with Swift and Williams, getting you points on receptions. Hines had 6 receptions, and again, that target share out of 8 targets. So they tossed the ball to him 8 times. That's potential 8 points. He got 48 yards off that. That's another 4.8. Depending on how your league scores, and he's only owned in 71% of leagues, so there's a chance that he could be available in your league. Ingram, I have at 15%. I think you said 22, so Ingram is definitely a strong possibility to be out there. But if you can't get Ingram, if he's not out there, and you really need a running back, don't be afraid to look at Hines out there in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. That's, you want those volume points, especially in PPR. That's someone you want to keep an eye on. And someone you don't want to keep an eye on is anyone in the Baltimore backfield. And I have one of them on my team. So I'm preaching to the choir in a way. I mean, you got Ty'Son Williams, Tavius Murray, Le'Veon Bell, maybe sometime, who knows? I might have to drop him. But Lamar rushed 12 times for 86 yards, 12 times. That's 12 rushes that one of those 3 running backs could have had. and Lamar runs. So it's 2, 3, 4 running backs deep. It's a hit and miss. You might have one good game, but they're going to have to be up, and they play in a difficult, side of the house. And I got to stay away, and I want to hold on to Le'Veon Bell, but I don't. He's gonna.
Yeah, they haven't activated him. They seemed happy using Tyson Williams and Latavius Murray yesterday. Tyson going 9 carries for 65 yards. Half of that was on one run, though. He did get the touchdown. He had 3 receptions. So he got 18 points. But he's already owned in 78% of leagues. He may or may not be available. Latavius Murray goes 10 for 28 and a touchdown. But the big thing here, so you see the volume was 9 versus 10 carries. You see Tyson Williams kind of coming out ahead on the yardage, but again, half was on 1 carry. So it's almost a push. The stats aren't that great in the first place. And the biggest issue is that Tyson Williams actually missed the block in overtime that caused Lamar to get hit, fumble the ball, and ultimately the Raiders to get it and win the game on the second winning drive in overtime, if you happen to watch it. But neither back performing spectacular. And, of course, Lamar Jackson, even with the fumbles, still the leading rusher and all that there. So, it was already in question with J.K. being there. But now that you're down a level or two, maybe Murray will pick it up as he learns the offense and he'll get a little stronger. But it is kind of a dumpster fire there in Baltimore. Another place you got to be careful of in backfield wise is in Denver. We'll talk about Denver receivers in a second because there's big conversation there to have. But the Denver backfield, definitely by committee. You had Melvin Gordon III. He had 11 carries, but one of them was for 70 yards.
Yeah.
So he had a 70-yard scamper, but after that, the other 10 weren't that great. Lindsey carried 8 times. Javonte Williams carried 14 times. So, there's a big just market share going on in Denver. So I know a lot of people are looking at that Melvin Gordon stat line, but understand that those numbers are skewed because one of those carries is 70 yards, and none of those backs really did that great yesterday.
Yeah, that's kind of scary. You have to remember when you see someone's like, oh man, they got 100 yards. Yeah, well, was one of them 80-yard touchdown? You got to pay attention to that because that will kind of skew those numbers a little bit. And, you got to kind of like exclude those. Every time I'm looking at a player, I'm looking at how many receptions they got, how many yards they got, and the touchdowns they got. If they got 3 touchdowns and 15 yards, they're probably just that you already missed out on. That week's over. You just got to really look into that.
Oh, it's true, and sometimes we'll be able to talk more about this when we hit the wide receivers here in a second. Touchdowns. How did they get those points? That's what you got to look at is how they got those points. But we did mention the debacle going on in Denver with Jerry Jeudy going down. He was clearly the number 1 receiver. A lot of people picked him up, including myself, where they could when he didn't get sniped, and now he's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. And so people got to step up. And so now everybody's looking at Patrick. They're looking at Hamler. They're looking at Sutton. Sutton pretty highly drafted, but Patrick is less than 1% owned, and same with Hamler. Hamler is right around there too. I think he's 0.2%. So even less than Patrick. For my money, I would be looking at Patrick. Patrick finished as the top receiver last year. I would think that he would continue that. Sutton by far the third out of those 3 yesterday. That doesn't mean it continues like that. But when Jerry Jeudy goes down and those 3 are playing and you still see Patrick come out on top, I would think that would continue, especially after last year.
Yeah, that's a tricky wide receiver core. Who's going to really step up? It's supposed to be Sutton. Patrick looked good. I didn't see much of it because I was barbecuing. That's what I was going to do. So I would have to go back and really look at some tape or something to really see that. But I'm kind of not dying to grab someone in Denver right now. I mean, someone I am looking at, Daniel Jones, quarterback, has to ball out this year or he's gone. And I know you're not going to like this, but Sterling Shepard on 40% of the leagues got 7 catches out of 9 for 113 yards and a touchdown. Now,
He sure did.
Volume is key, and I do like him just because in one of the leagues I saw him there. He's up at the top, and I was scrolling down. I'm like, you know what? My best option right now is probably this guy because Daniel Jones has to ball out this year, or they're drafting a quarterback, and he's going to end up a second, third string somewhere.
Yeah, Daniel Jones' stat line a little skewed because of him being able to walk a touchdown in. So points wise, if you're looking at a stat line, again, not great. This is why we do the show, because I am on the opposite side. I am very down on Sterling Shepard because he is the only thing that they really have right now. As long as Barkley is still slow, Sterling Shepard is the only thing that the Giants are running with until Barkley gets back up to form, until Golladay is able to come back into the offense. And so to me, it's, if I'm a defense, I'm really just D'ing up on Shepard and calling it a day, and letting Daniel Jones screw up the rest. So that's my take on it. And I've seen a lot of you see all the articles, waiver wire pickups week 2 and stuff, and Sterling Shepard is there, but that's always the biggest argument, though, is that he's the only thing that they have. And to me, I'm weary of when that's the only thing you have. But you see in Seattle yesterday, or excuse me, on Sunday, again, DK Metcalf only targeted 5 times, caught 4 of those, but Tyler Lockett explodes, has a fantastic day, much to the relief of Lockett owners, especially if you had him last year like I did. He's a boomer bust every week, so week 1 it was nice to have him on a boom if you had Lockett. But there is an example where if you can shut down wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 can explode. In New York's situation, there is no wide receiver 2 to explode, and that's why I'm down on Shepard. But a lot of experts agree with you that Shepard is someone to get. When we talk about wide receivers, another wide receiver that's getting talked about a lot, of course, is Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk puts up a phenomenal stat line yesterday, 5 for 5. That's nice to have that 100% sitting there. 2 touchdowns, only owned in 8.3% of the leagues. And so a lot of people looking at Christian Kirk, and if you believe that this is his year, go ahead and do that and grab Christian Kirk if you want to. I, however, am a numbers guy, and we put this out on the page on the Yards After the Catch group and page on Facebook. Go check that out if you want. But Christian Kirk, his best year yardage wise was 2019 with 709. He's dropped no less than 33% of his passes, and his highest touchdown total for the entire season is 6, which was last year. And he's never finished a complete season, 14 games being his highest. I believe it was 12 and 11 in the other 2 years. So it was nice to see him ball out yesterday. It'll be nice to see him ball out 1 or 2 more weeks this year, but he's not someone that I'm going to waste my fab budget on in week 1 anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of mouths to feed there, with Kirk, Green, Hopkins, and Kyler Murray's going to run a lot, but Kyler Murray's balling out right now. And their defense is really good, so they could make a run at that deep into the playoffs if they keep this up and stay healthy. But with those 3 wide receivers, and I don't know if I believe it just because he got the 2 touchdowns. 5 for 5, sure, but temper those expectations. I know he's at the top of those boards, like nobody paid attention to him. If he doesn't,
he's going to get picked up this week. It's someone's going to pick him up. He's too hot. Same with Mitchell. Someone's going to pick him up. We're just saying why you might not want to be the one that does it.
If you got an injury, go for it. It's not going to. But I mean,
and we are going to visit the Hurt Locker and see who's in there in a little bit to let you guys know who's off the bench and what kind of who's riding the bench, how long they're going to be there, and what kind of impact that's going to have on your favorite players. But before we get there, we've got quite a few players to talk about. Let's talk about some of the QBs, and we'll just kind of work down position if that's good. We already talked, Murray, 21 to 32, 289, 4 touchdowns, ran one in. And the big impact there is that one, Murray is balling out, but two, they were playing against a very struggling Tennessee defense. So if you're playing against Tennessee later on in the season, I believe Seattle has Tennessee this week. So that'll be real nice should be nice for Seattle players. We talked about Goff throwing 57 times. Should be doing that again against Green Bay. Jameis Winston only throwing 20 times, so I'm not sure if he is worth buying in yet. Carr last night actually threw 56 times, 34, 56, 435 yards, second highest total of the week. Two touchdowns, still had the interception, didn't really turn on until the fourth quarter. Only owned in 17.8% of the league. So do you want to take a flyer on Carr? And that's what it would be.
No, I don't, because Carr played for 5 quarters.
Yeah.
And sorry, I mean, you take away, that last two or three drives in the fifth quarter and a touchdown, you're losing 100 yards and a touchdown. So what did he get? Yeah. Don't worry about Carr. He's good. He's solid, but don't be jumping on the train just yet because he had an extra quarter to play. So
you're absolutely right. Other big, of course, Wilson threw for 4 touchdowns. The takeaway there is it was against Indiana. Indianapolis was able to shut down and contain DK Metcalf. So if you're going against Indianapolis, watch your wide receiver ones, but look for those wide receiver 2 matchups when you're going against Indiana. Chicago's defense played pretty horrible, made Stafford look fantastic yesterday, 321, 3 touchdowns. Not saying that Stafford isn't good. I think Stafford is a baller. I think he's got some weapons, and he can do very well.
Anything with the Colts?
Say again?
The Colts, did you like them,
I mean, they're trying to do what they can. They've got Wentz at quarterback. I mean, you can only do so much when you have Wentz at quarterback. Again, you had 25 carries combined between Hines and Taylor. I know, you've got some passes, quite a few passes going to both of them as well. Their highest scoring receiver, of course, was Zach Pascal, but he had the 2 touchdowns, only caught 4 balls.
I want to talk about, because you're right, he did have 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
But he had 4 targets for 43 yards. And he's sitting up at the top. He's owned 2% of the league, so you could probably go out there and grab him. But
do you want to?
Yeah, for 4 to 6 targets is what he's going to get every game. But he's not the number 1 guy, and that's going to be a problem. Especially everybody saying, "Oh, he got 2 touchdowns." Well, okay, yeah, and his other 2 catches, he didn't get a touchdown. So pump the brakes on Pascal.
In Indianapolis actually had a total of 10 receptions by wide receivers yesterday. So, I mean, if you want to bank on that, you go ahead. Maybe they'll come up against some easier defenses. But again, that's something I want to see more of before I get in there. Let's see. So Matt Ryan, as usual, not a big fantasy performer. I really would stay away from him. Only Dalton and Rodgers performed worse than Matt Ryan. We expect Rodgers, of course, not to do that again. But it's amazing to me that Ryan can have Ridley and Gage and Pitts and Mike Davis, who's a fantastic pass catching back, and he only pulls out 164 yards and no touchdowns yesterday. There's a reason and yet he's still owned in 60% of the leagues, which makes no sense to me. Puts up 7.4 points yesterday. And honestly, you have to wonder how often he's going to score more than that. I don't know what to say.
A couple years ago, I did draft Matt Ryan in the later round. I was excited, and he did exactly what he did for week 1 this time. He just didn't ball out, didn't show up with all of his weapons, and it was terrible. And I said, you know what? I'm not doing it again. Dropped him right
Yeah.
there, didn't care. And he actually did really well the rest of the year. So,
Well, Matt Ryan's going to win games, and he's got weapons. Kyle Pitts, 50% of his catches, 4 for 8 on catches, so he'll get better as well as they get more comfortable. But Matt Ryan's going to be someone who will win games and get it done, but he's not going to win you fantasy matches. So someone you're going to want to stay away from. Allen, I wouldn't worry about him too much. Again, Pittsburgh's defense kind of gave him a hard time. It was week 1, 30 of 51. I don't think you'll see him throw 51 balls very often. But he still came out with 270 and a touchdown. And again, Roethlisberger, not a great showing. The entire Pittsburgh offense, not a great showing, but you expect them to pick that up as well as Harris gets a little more comfortable in his position. So, and I have to bring this up again, Trevor Lawrence. A lot of people, everybody's focused on those 3 interceptions. Still put up 332, still put up 3 touchdowns. So that tells me 2 things. One, the kid came to play. The interceptions are not going to rattle him. So if you have Jacksonville players, don't hit the panic button yet. I'm not with J-Rob, even though it seems like Meyer doesn't really like J-Rob that much. Rob,
I actually like what Lawrence did. You have to understand, he's a rookie. This is game 1. Yeah. This is real time, and he's they're gonna have to throw the ball there. And actually, one of the tight ends that I was looking at was James O'Shaughnessy.
Yes.
0% owned.
Yeah.
And he got 6. Go ahead.
I was going to say exactly what you're about to say. 6 for 8 for 48 yards, 8 targets. That's 8 targets, guys. 8 targets by O'Shaughnessy. O'Shaughnessy is definitely, if you are looking for a tight end, he's someone you could definitely look at. We're going to go into we're going to run down our ads. We're just kind of talking about performances. Our specific ads this week are coming up shortly, so stick around for that. But O'Shaughnessy is definitely in there for tight ends with that 8-point target share. That's pretty nice if your tight end's going to get 8 PPR points for you. But I was saying, say again.
The 36th ranked quarterback. Who was that?
36th ranked quarterback. Let me see. 36th ranked quarterback. Oh, geez. How far down do we have to go?
Aaron Rodgers.
You're gonna. Oh yeah, Aaron Rodgers. 30, and that's actually I've got him at 32 in PPR, but and I don't know why that changes much, but it's 33 is what I had him at. But I mean, you had guys. Andy Dalton was ahead of him. Justin Fields is ahead of him. Trey Lance is ahead of him. And Trey Lance only threw 1 damn pass. It's not good. It's not. Good, but Aaron Rodgers probably going to pick it up, so don't get too scared.
You can go ahead and drop him in our league if you want, though. I'd appreciate it.
just you'd like that. But as I was saying, in Jacksonville, though, J-Rob had 5 carries, Hyde had 9, so 9 out. A lot of people talking about Hyde out carried Rob. Let them figure that out in Jacksonville a little bit before you panic. The thing that I would panic about if it were me. DJ Chark got targeted 12 times, and we talk about targets. So 12 targets is beautiful. You know how many he got? 3. He got 3 targets. Now they were good. They got him some money, so his stat line wasn't absolutely horrible. But when you catch 3 out of 12 passes, I'm watching that guy. So if you have Chark, keep an eye on that situation to see if he can start hauling me. And I have faith in him. I'm not panicking. I think it's week 1. What's that?
Laviska Sheldon, O'Shaughnessy. Those are the guys he's going to be throwing to, and they're going to have to. So, I mean.
The fact that he didn't get rattled and kept throwing at 332 after, still having the 3 interceptions and still puts 3 in the box. That's he's got some resolve. I'm not a Trevor Lawrence fan. As a Buckeye fan, you can understand why. But the kid can ball.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So that's kind of our quarterback rundown. Let's do the ads at quarterback. If you're going to pick up a quarterback this week off the waiver wire, who's someone you might be looking at, Root?
Well, it would have been Zach Wilson. I mean, only because I feel like I'm having a dream. Like, there it is. That's the one. That's going to be the guy. But it depends on your size of the league. But I don't have anybody I'm really dying to pick up. I don't know. I have to go through each of my leagues and find out if I'm hurting at quarterback because I did draft really well. And so I don't want to panic too early unless something's not adding up. So now that Monday's over with, and tonight I have a little bit of time after the show to go look at some quarterbacks. Do I need them? I don't know. I drafted really well. I have quarterbacks, on my bench or in my lineup, so I'm okay there. But I'm really curious what you like this week with
Yeah,
quarterbacks.
I think you hit it on the head. Do you need them? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Because I do think there are pickups out there, and I will run down my 5 pickups at quarterback. But chances are in week 1 you don't need him. Fitzpatrick was probably not your QB1. You more than likely have another quarterback on your bench. A lot of people don't like to carry 2 though. So if you need a quarterback, if you have Aaron Rodgers, keep him. Put him in against Detroit. Don't panic on Aaron Rodgers just yet. Don't panic on Allen yet. Don't panic on Lamar's 2 fumbles. Keep those guys running. Roethlisberger, if he's your QB1, you might have a second one on the bench. I've said at the beginning of the year, Roethlisberger is a matchup quarterback. You're gonna have to look at who they're playing. I did not play him unless I had to yesterday because they were playing Buffalo's defense. So if you're going to add somebody, look at Winston. I'm down on him because he got only threw for 148 yards, but I think he's going to have a good season. Tyrod Taylor, again, he's plays for Houston, but they've got a nice schedule, and he clearly came to play. He'll run the ball for you as well. Mark Ingram is a big complement to that. Cooks as well put up a great stat line yesterday, 132 I think he had. So, he's got weapons. He's got outlets. I mean, Neil O'Donnell went to the Super Bowl, so, why can't Tyrod Taylor put up some points for you? Goff is one to look at. Goff's only owned in 6.3% of the leagues. Depending on what site you look at. What's that?
Not to be 6.4.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the guy throwing for 57 times a game. He's got Green Bay coming up. He's got a schedule like that. He's probably going to be playing from behind a lot this year. 338, 3 touchdowns. I'll take that. He's QB3 yesterday. Put up 29 points if you had him. If you were one of the 6.3 that had him. So if you need to pick up a quarterback, Goff probably out there and probably a pretty good pick. And I really like Teddy Bridgewater. I know a lot of people don't like him. He's not going to put up huge numbers, okay? But understand this. He went 28 for 36 yesterday, 264, 2 touchdowns. Not, phenomenal, but he lost his number 1 receiver. But only owned in 7.9% of the leagues. But understand this, that last year, playing for the Carolina Panthers, you had Robbie Anderson, you had those guys down there. He put up 2 1,000-yard receivers and another one at 800. So he had 2,800 yards between three receivers. This is Teddy Bridgewater without McCaffrey, with Mike Davis balling out and catching a lot of passes as well. So, say what you want about Teddy Bridgewater. He might not be first ballot Hall of Fame, but the guy can sling the ball around a little bit, and he's got a pretty decent squad up there in Denver to do it. So Bridgewater is my sleeper pick. Tyrod would be the secondary pick. My first pick, of course, is going to be Jared Goff up there in Detroit.
Yeah, I do like all of those. I do like the sleepers. And you know what? Who didn't really disappoint is Sam Darnold. He completed 23 of 35 for 269 and 2 touchdowns,
He's
and
on a lot of lists.
he won.
Mm-hmm. And he
So
won.
that was a little icing on the cake for him.
And he's got CMAC. So
Yeah, thanks CMC.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. That'll help your quarterback a little bit. All right, so let's move on to running backs. I already talked about my two, Ingram and Harris. You brought up Ingram.
Ingram as well.
I think we're agreed that we're not too high on Mitchell right now. We were a little worried about the timeshare. We're worried about the actual stat line that Mitchell put up, not the fantasy 104 that you'll see if you look at the stat line. I think we're agreed on that one. J-Rob is behind. Najee, don't panic on Najee. He had 16 carries. Not bad for a week one rookie to have 16 carries. I'll get to him later. We'll get him to the end of the program. Harris had 23 carries. Yes, he had 2 fumbles. That's what you got to worry about with Harris. Damian Harris up there in New England. But 23 carries, that's nice, especially for a New England back. Chubb and Hunt finishing RB5 and RB12. So those two are looking to continue that just ridiculous tandem that they can both score fantasy points like that. Swift and Williams, be careful of there, but their receptions will help you, and I would stay away from the Denver backfield.
Yeah, I mean, when you really think about what running backs are left, if there is anybody like a Mark Ingram or an Eli Mitchell, go for it, because depending on your league and how running back heavy they are, there's not much on some of them, and on other ones there are. But you know what happens when people fumble in New England? It's not good. So there might be some rotation. Ramondre Stevenson is on my bench, and I will not be dropping him just yet, even though he got, I think, negative points for me. But it was on the bench, so it was okay. But I feel like if that's going to happen, even if he gets, fumbles, it's fine. That whole backfield can't fumble and all get benched, and they're just going to pass the ball. But just pump the brakes, see what happens. I don't really like New England running backs, but I picked one up anyway. I was just going in for a flyer, late rounder, because running backs are real slim.
They are. But you talk about the target share and stuff like that. Not to panic on Najee Harris with 16 carries. Look, only 2 guys had over 20 carries, and that was Mixon and C-Mac. Mixon had 29, C-Mac had 21. So the receptions, C-Mac, Swift, and Williams are the only ones that had 8 or more receptions. So you look at the target share when you're talking about backs. Cook, Taylor, Hines both on the same team, and Jamal White all had 6. They were the second tier there, and they all had 6 receptions. So if you're in the PPR and you didn't get all the receptions you want from your back, don't worry. It was just week 1. If you only got 16 carries from Najee Harris and he didn't put up a lot of yards, at least he got the 16 carries. That's second tier right there behind Mixon and C-Mac. So, again, the theme this week is don't panic just because your guy didn't do as well as you want. And, of course, Ingram had 26 carries. He's up there with Mixon and CMC, but we already talked about him being a relevant pickup. So if you want to get into, if you're ready, I do want to mention also, because we're talking about running backs, New York Giants gave up 170 yards on the ground. So if your running back is playing against the Giants, which this week is, I apologize. Where are the Giants? You know who the Giants are playing this week? Pick me up.
Shepard.
What's that? Oh, Thursday Night Football. What am I talking about? Thursday Night Football. They're playing against Washington. That's why I can't find it. It's on that little extra part of the screen there. Yeah, they play against Washington. So if you're lucky to have Gibson this week against New York, you can pay off. I want to play that guy on Thursday night with the Giants giving up 170 on the ground. might be good week to own Gibson
Gibson
if
the ball
you
out. He's
yeah.
gonna have
Wide receivers, who are you looking at this week? There's a few that I would look at personally. Who are you looking at and why?
Not Pascal. I was looking at Sterling Shepard. You do make a good point. And judging on what's left, like I said, I drafted pretty well, but I mean, Devontae Parker is the number one guy in Miami. So
For now.
For now, yeah. Nelson Aguilar, he did pretty well.
Nelson Aguilar, 5 for 7. Again, getting that seven chances. Caught 5 of them, 72 yards, a touchdown, only owned in 31.5% of the league.
Yeah, I mean, coming from a rookie quarterback, that's not bad. So the rookie is looking for him, and that's important to notice what the rookie is seeing first. So the chemistry will build throughout the year, and I think they're going to ball out towards the end.
And remember the wild card that we're really talking about in New England. We don't need to concentrate as much on Mac Jones or Nelson Aguilar or the new people or anything. You got Bill Belichick. As long as you got Bill Belichick, you're going to do okay. So for Aguilar to put up, catch or get targeted 7 times, like you said, that's something nice to see. A lot of people looking at Reagor in Philadelphia because he went 6 for 6 yesterday. Okay, he might be a deep reach, but if he's 100%, if he's catching 6 for 6, it's always nice to have a receiver catch all of his passes. Sammy Watkins is one I like. He went 4 for 8. But again, 8 targets, still got 96 yards out of the 4 catches. So that's almost 25 yards catch. Only owned in 13.5% of the leagues. I guarantee that's going to change after this week, after what we saw last night. He's looking good. He's looking fast. He's catching a ball. On the opposite side of the ball, Hunter Renfrow. Let me tell you why I like Hunter Renfrow. He went 6 for 9, 70 yards. He's only owned in 2% of the leagues. Not a lot of people looking at him. But if you watched the broadcast last night, they brought up the fact that Carr said this guy is the perfect receiver. They said this guy is the truth. Carr loves him some Hunter Renfrow. So if you're a believer in Carr, if you believe that Vegas is going to keep tossing the ball, they can't throw it to Waller every time. And 9 chances to catch a ball from Renfrow, that's pretty nice. So that could be a nice sleeper for you. Patrick, I already talked about if you are going to dip into that Denver situation. I think Patrick, again, 4 for 4. At least he caught 100%. But that's what Judy catching 7 as well. So those 7 passes got to go somewhere. Patrick finishes a top receiver last year, only owned in 0.08% of the leagues. I like him. And my number one ad at receiver, if he's available, because he is owned in 74% of the league, Mr. Mike Williams, 8 for 12. 12 times he got tossed the ball for 82 yards and a touchdown, and that's with Keenan Allen on the other side.
If you started watching the show, the wonderful host here said many times, Mr. Chris Fox said it many times, he wants Mike Williams. And what happened? Mike Williams balled out. Hope you were listening because it happened.
It did, and he sat on my bench for 22 points, and I didn't think he was going to ball out in week 1. So Williams gets targeted 12 times. Allen gets targeted 3 times. Or 13 times, 13 for Allen, 12 for Williams. So they are throwing the ball out there in LA. Definitely you might want to get in on that, and Williams could be the way to sneak in there, check to see if he's available in your league. You know who else got targeted 13 times yesterday? Cole Beasley got targeted 13 times yesterday, only owned in 58% of the leagues. CeeDee Lamb, of course, got 15 targets. Diggs got 14 targets. Deebo Samuel got targeted 12 times. Hill 15, Cooper 16. Of course, Hill and Cooper are obvious choices. Those guys are not there. Lamb's not there. But just to let you guys kind of understand the relationship that the family that Williams and Allen are a part of in week 1 with target share. So target share, a big deal.
Here's my deep sleeper for you, and I'm going to tell you something right now. He's going to get you 5 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown.
Here we go.
Against the Browns, I think. Yeah, Danny Amendola is going to get you another touchdown.
Oh, wow. He's going deep. He's getting in there.
I'm going deep.
He's digging down. He's feeling around the bottom of the bag. He's pulling it out, and there it is. There's your sleeper pick for the week. If you want to throw him into a flex position and see if he's right, Roop will pay your entry fee unless you already paid, and then he will not. And of course, if you haven't already paid, he's only paying fees that were due before the season started. So basically, he's not going to pay anything. But he will join you in joy and happiness if that pays off. Amendola, you said 5 for 50 and a touchdown. Let's keep track of that and see how that stat line comes out. I can believe it. Why not? I mean, Cooks went off. Tyrod's playing. Hey, why not Amendola? Some other guys that you might be looking at. Debo's owned in 90% of the leagues. I don't know who those other 10% are, but I guarantee he's coming off the board this week. Thielen went 9 for 10. So if you've got Thielen, look at him. He was someone you were looking at anyway. The question was he going to get the target share that he got last year? At least in week 1, he did. Let's see, Shepard, Kirk, Lockett. Yeah, we've covered all our receivers. So
you would look like your deep sleeper, someone who's actually out on the waiver, only owning 15, 20%.
Yeah, no, like I said, for me, Hunter Renfrow getting 9 targets at 2% owned, and Watkins only 13% owned, getting 8 targets. That's significant for me. And significant enough that if I had room on my roster, that's my Amendola pick, if you will. I think Renfrow is going to be in for a good season this year, and I think Watkins is Watkins, and he's probably going to catch quite a few balls there in Baltimore as well.
Yeah, Waller's not going to get 19 targets every game, and
yeah,
I do appreciate that. But that's why I took Waller in the second round in almost every draft that I had. But Hunter Renfrow is going to get a couple more of those when they're not thrown to Waller. Everybody's stacking on Waller, so Renfrow is going to be available. I saw him cut last night, and Renfrow looks good, looks healthy, and I think you're hitting the nail on the head on that one.
Yeah, he really does look good. And then after Carr calls him out, I think that's good enough for me to do that. So we'll glaze over a nice transition there. Pro as always. There it is. We'll transition to tight ends real quick. We're going to glaze over them because tight ends are always a little iffy. If you had Waller, if you had Kittle, if you had Kelsey, of course, that's why you drafted them. That's why you took them so early. But if you're looking to replace somebody, look, we already talked about James O'Shaughnessy getting 8 targets. What's that?
Pick him up. Just do it.
Oh, yeah. Jared Cook also had 8 targets, only owning 24% of the league. Schultz went 6 for 6. There is a tight end share in Dallas, but again, he goes 6 for 6. He's probably going to get a few more targets. Only owned 1% of the leagues. Jonas Smith, 5 for 5. Again, in New England, that's pretty good. And Kmet, I saw Kmet was somebody that I was targeting a lot out of Chicago, but in my leagues, other people knew the secret and they picked him up. Still only owning 28% of the league, 5 of 7, so 7%, 7-point target share there. And when Fields gets in, I have a feeling it's going to be even higher. Kmet could be a great pickup for you, and of course, and this is the sleeper because I know you're going to ask me who's the sleeper. If you go back over to Houston, and Houston's kind of the sleeper for everybody because nobody wanted to touch Houston. And now we're talking about Tyrod Taylor. Now we're talking about Cooks. Now we're talking about Amendola with the 550. I'm going to bring up their tight end, Pharaoh Brown, goes 4 for 5, 67 yards. The site I looked at had him at a 0% ownership, 0 for Pharaoh Brown. Not surprising coming out of Houston, honestly. But, you got 5-point target share. That could go up considering you got 4 of them. And he went 67 yards on those 4.
Yeah, and I see it. I'm looking at it, 0% owned. Why not? But somebody is 12% owned is Juwan Johnson, New Orleans.
Yeah, 3 for 3
for 21 yards.
Yeah, I mean that's
Pump the brakes.
7 yards to catch. I think the big question there is who was going to be the tight end now, and I think he's clearly going to be the number one guy, right?
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, I would avoid that just because that was just a weird game. I mean, pump the brakes on that one. I know he's sitting at the top, and everybody's like, "Wow, 2 touchdowns." Pay attention to those little tiny stats way over there. Scroll over and find it.
Yeah, no, it's true. Do you have any other ads or drops that you or ads for this week?
No, just for the no. That was it. That was all the teams I had.
I don't have any big
Unless you
drops
wanted,
this week. It's just week one. Of course, if you have to make room, I think you get rid of AJ Green. I think you get rid of Zach Moss. I think that Singletary's got that job locked up. There's a couple of guys. I actually dropped Callaway in both the leagues. I had him to make room for my waiver pickups should they go through. If Callaway's not going to be the wide receiver one, even if he's just in a share. I mean, if he's got to be boom or bust even every week, it's just not something I want to deal with.
yeah, I can't get Hunter Renfro now because I already have the tight end. So that's not a good thing to have. So thanks for picking that guy.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. So let's just go ahead and let's jump into the Hurt Locker real quick. You guys already know, we already kind of talked about it. We're going to glaze over this because I really do want to talk some college football here. We know Fitzpatrick is on IR. He's out 6-8 weeks, cannot play until October. That's going to affect your Washington players. So if you've got McLaren, if you've got Gibson, just keep an eye on that situation. But again, Gibson's a great play, I think, this week against a New York team that gave up 170 on the ground. So don't be afraid to play Gibson this week. Chicago's O-line damaged on that left side, so just be careful of your Chicago players. I am one of those people that has A-Rob, big on Mooney, but until they get that sorted out, you could see problems there. Of course, Judy's out, so you've got a big share, which Bridgewater may be able to pass around. He had 2 1,000-yard receivers and an 800-yarder last year, so no problem passing the ball around there. Gallup is now on IR again. That's going to help Cooper. It's going to help CD. I think the big beneficiary there is Ezekiel Elliott because someone's got to catch those passes, and I think it brings Elliott back into the passing game in Dallas without having Gallup there.
Yeah, him and Pollard are going to be getting a lot of passes, I think, especially if they're stacking the box against him. Toss it. Just toss it. I mean, I said CD. What did I say? First or second show, CD is going to be the most catches.
Oh, yeah.
Or something like that. But I think CD's numbers are going to go up, now that Gallup's out of the picture for right now. So, and Dallas is going to throw the ball, it looks like. So I'm looking to see in that offense.
Yeah, no, I am too. Let's see. Mostert, of course, is out 8 weeks, so you've got to deal with the Mitchell-Sherman committee and figure out what's going on there. Barkley's still limited in practice. Rashad Penny, if you're happen to be a part of that, is hurt with a calf injury. So keep an eye on that. New Orleans defense, second top defense this week. Fantastic defense, doing great, but Marshawn Lattimore out for at least 2 weeks. So, be careful with that defense. If you have New Orleans defense, will they be as good without Lattimore there? I don't know. And, of course, Detroit, whose defense wasn't doing that great anyway, they lost their number one rookie, Okudah, gone for the season on Achilles tear. I did forget to mention pickups on defense. Arizona might be someone to look at, and Denver's defense, who I've been high on all year. But they both have a great schedule. Arizona, of course, Jones getting 5 sacks yesterday. If they can repeat that, they might have something put together. I don't know if it'll be the number one defense every week, but putting together a good week one and a good argument to play them at least next week, because your defense you can probably rotate out every week anyway.
Yeah, Arizona's got a great offense, great defense. Everybody showed up week one, so that's a bonus. That doesn't happen very often. So I do like them. If they're available, pick them up. If not, then stick with the one you drafted and hope that week 2 works out. My defense did great, so Do I really want to trade him for Arizona? Who knows? But yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I
Arizona.
have really soft hands.
Arizona playing Minnesota next week, who had no problem giving up some points, and Kirk Cousins not looking fantastic back there. Cook struggling during week 1 as well. That trend may continue up against Arizona, and of course Denver. I say of course as I look it up, is playing Jacksonville. So if you have Denver players and you want to get in on that Denver share, and that's kind of where another big draw with Elijah Mitchell comes this week, is the fact that they are playing Jacksonville. So if you do pick him up on waivers, hopefully you didn't overspend for him, but he should at least pay off next week anyway when they play Jacksonville. So let's get into, I'm calling it Dynasty Watch because when you talk about college football, you're talking about the players that are going to play next week. Now, we're probably a little early to be talking about specific players, but you are definitely watching some teams and some matchups this weekend. Dynasty Watch brought to you by Root. There it is here on Yards After the Catch.
Yeah, you know that I love college chaos because it's going to continue every week. I kind of want to stay away from the players so far. I mean, if you look at the first 2 weeks, there's a lot of good plays, a lot of good players. I want to actually talk about Michael Pratt from Tulane, who got hammered by Oklahoma and got up without any complaints and played with more heart than I've ever seen. That kid's going places if he can keep it up, and I'm watching him. I got his in a couple of years, I might be picking him up. But let's talk about the top 6. We got Clemson at 6. We all know they're going 11-1. Do you disagree?
No, probably not. I'm not going to be the guy to say Clemson's not gonna go 11-1. I can see Ohio State losing a game, and I'm a fan. I can see them losing one more. As long as it's not to that team up north, I'm okay with it. Could Clemson lose another game? I just don't see Debo letting that happen. Everybody's got some rebuilding to do, but yeah, probably not with that schedule. They play in the ACC. I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah, Iowa beat a good Iowa State team, so that put them at 5. Are they really that good? I mean, they got a tough schedule in the Big Ten. They do. I mean, they are contenders. I just think that Ohio State is going to beat them out and give them that.
If we play, it'll be a championship. It'll be for the Big Ten championship. That's where we would meet them, and we keep winning that thing. I think by the end of the year, I think we'll be in that rhythm, and I agree. I think we could take Iowa down, but usually very tough defense. That's what they're known for there. So, and our defense is where we're struggling. So, favors us in that their strength is not their offense and ours is. But yeah, if it comes down to that, it could be a great game.
Yeah, I actually am really looking forward to it. I'm going to get back to that in a second because I want to talk about number 4, Oregon, who just moved in, who beat Ohio State on a really good game.
Yeah, great game.
They can be an upset alert. I mean, when you're looking at who they have to play, I think it's going to be in the Pac-12, Oregon versus UCLA at the end. They're just going to beat each other up. In the Pac-12 and the Big Ten, there's so many good teams that are like playing each other this year that are already ranked against ranked. Somebody's going to lose. So you got to watch those two divisions or sides. You have to figure out, well, if you beat each other up, no one's getting in. It happens all the time.
Yeah, and UCLA, with the shakeup they had this week with their staff and stuff like that, you wonder how it's going to transfer down, and you hope it doesn't hurt the team and these kids that work so hard. But UCLA clearly playing well. Oregon, they're going to have a lot of confidence going in after beating Ohio State this week. They're going to be playing with a lot of swagger, and a win like that can definitely help carry them through games that they might have questioned themselves in otherwise. I was just laughing because Rado BW has commented that your hair is just on point, and I have to agree. Very just of the hair. You are a very good looking man. Mr. Roof, there it is. But getting past that, what else are we looking at in college?
Yeah,
That's right.
Oklahoma at 3, and they always get caught sleeping. They always think they don't have a contender. Tulane was a good team, and I said it for weeks. Nobody was paying attention. Like, we got this game, we got this. Our defense is this and that. You have to understand. You have to play all 4 quarters, and everybody is a contender. Everybody's thinking that, like, Nebraska, well, we should win that game. Yeah, well, you know what? We should have won the first time we played them, and we lost, and everybody was shocked. So guess what? Don't sleep on any team because they can beat you. It happened twice last year.
No, that's what's great about college football is anybody can win. You see it all the time.
Yeah, and we got just because Texas loses a game doesn't mean the Texas Oklahoma game isn't huge. Texas Oklahoma is like the Iron Bowl with Bama and Auburn, or Ohio State and Michigan. Those are the games. It doesn't matter who's ranked what. There can be an upset. It does not matter. You could be ranked in the 30s somewhere. No one's paying attention to you against the number 2, and they just swap. It happens way too often. So don't get caught sleeping, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma playing a 2-1 Nebraska team this week is not going to be a easy. It's not going to be a gimme win like last week. And I'm not trying to down Oklahoma's opponent last week, but when you win, what was it, 72? Put up 72 points. Kind of a cupcake game. I'm going to call it that. That's what it was. It's okay. You got to play those games. Sometimes you don't have a choice. But Nebraska, getting Oklahoma back in the rhythm and prepared for the weeks to come, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Now you talk about your 1 and 2, Bama and Georgia. Okay.
Yeah, Bama has a tough game this week, and I don't care what anybody says. They're playing Florida. They're playing a Florida team that's playing together. Been playing together a couple of years now. I believe Florida is also undefeated, and both 2-0. And that's going to be a great game. I'm not calling Alabama with the loss, but Alabama's going to get a game this week.
Yeah, Alabama, Nick Saban, make sure that they're not caught sleeping every year. So, they're going to respect everybody they play. But you have to think about it. Florida is playing Bama, but Florida's going to be at home. You know who else Florida plays at home? Georgia. So I'm just saying, if Florida beats Bama, beats Georgia, Florida just slides right into the conversation.
Yeah,
that.
Absolutely.
Like home. So Florida, it's right there. It's on the platter waiting for them. And, they're going to find out who's king of the mountain, because right now it's Bama until they get beaten. I think Bama will still win. It's not really an upset alert for mine, but those little tiny mistakes can turn into, 25-yard gains and a touchdown. So you got to be careful with that for sure.
Yeah, Georgia playing South Carolina. South Carolina, of course, beat them last year, for no good reason whatsoever. But that's going to be in the head of the Georgia players. They're going to be looking for payback, but they're also going to be not wanting to lose that game again. Penn State playing Auburn. That should be a good game. I'll tell you a game I'm actually looking forward to. I think it's just going to be a great game. I don't know if it has a lot of implications, but Michigan State and Miami are actually playing at 12 noon.
Michigan State and Miami. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that one. I'll be at the game, so I won't be able to see it. But I have 3 upset alerts for you.
I love to hear it. Let's do it.
Number 22, Auburn over Penn State, ranked 10.
I was going to bring that game up. It's SEC versus Big Ten. SEC does real well against the Big Ten. Yeah.
I think that's going to be a good one. And I kind of dug a little deep just for fun to try to get a few from different spots. West Virginia not ranked over 15 Virginia Tech.
When you have those rivalry games like that, anybody can win. It doesn't matter what the ranking is. I've seen Ohio State and the team up north go in. One of them ranked number 1 or number 2 against the other one who's unranked and lose. I mean, there's been multiple 3 or 4 national championships lost between the 2 schools against an unranked rival opponent. I mean, it happens. That's what's so great about rivalries.
Yeah, and I love it. I think it'll be something fun to watch because, like I said, college chaos. I love it. I want everybody to have one loss because it just makes everybody think and work that much harder. And my last one, I reached, but it's gonna be fun. Someone will really enjoy this. The Cincinnati Bearcats, ranked 8th, are gonna lose to Indiana.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. I wish it would. My wife wishes it would. I don't know if you can see the Indiana stuff behind me. My wife graduated from Indiana University. Great team last year. Struggling a little this year. They got some holes. They're missing some players that they lost to the NFL. And otherwise, yeah, no, I think Cincinnati rolls on that game. I would take that.
You know, like I'm not putting my life savings on it, but you know,
yeah. I would take that action. But it should be another great week of college football. Definitely some good games out there, some great matchups. Definitely looking forward to that Alabama Florida game. Looking to see what Oklahoma's going to do against a Nebraska team that's playing with some confidence right now. It is at Oklahoma, so I think Oklahoma definitely gets the edge there. Hard place to play, I think, unless you're in the Big 12. Yourself as hard place for out of conference team to come into. And I wish you all the best of luck in that game. And again, I also like that Michigan-Miami game. Don't think Cincinnati's going to lose, but you know what? That could actually be a really good game, at least for the first 3 quarters as well.
Yeah, I'd actually agree. You're going to be tired that fourth quarter. That's when you're going to find the players with the heart. And that's what I love, is a player with heart who can push all the way through.
No, I agree. So as we wrap things up, you know, we've gone through some great ads. Again, we're not so high on Mitchell, but Mitchell's going to do really well against Jacksonville next week. He's probably just not going to get the carries because Sherman's going to come in. We talked about some receivers that you can pick up. Watkins, Renfro, of course, Mike Williams is available to you. Patrick, if you're going to get into that Denver situation, Rear Aguilar is another great pickup, 7 reception target share. Ingram is our consensus running back of the week to go out and get if you are looking for a running back. Hines is our secondary. Lots of good tight ends out there. So run through that if you are looking for tight ends and some good quarterbacks if that's something you actually need out there in Goff and Tyrod Taylor and Teddy Bridgewater. You know, it's been a great week. Once again, we want to thank everyone for joining us. The games that we're looking to watch, look, if we got Tampa Bay playing Atlanta this week. Atlanta, of course, losing to Philly in week 1, and Jalen Hurts. Atlanta giving up 32 to Philly, so who knows how many they're going to give up to the GOAT and Tampa Bay. So if you have Tampa Bay players, play them all. You might want to think about Rojo, though. So Ron Jones, who I'm still hoping gets around, had 2 fumbles, ranked this week the only running back with significant negative yards, ranked 242 out of 242 in PPR rankings. So if you have Rojo, be careful there. But everybody else in Tampa Bay, it's a fire sale, so put them all out there. And you'll be safe. Buffalo gave up 23 to Pittsburgh. That was because of a great Pittsburgh defense. But Miami has Buffalo this week. Could be a fun game fantasy wise. There might be a lot of points there actually. Same with the Green Bay Detroit game on Monday night, and opposite that, the Giants Washington game could be interesting to watch from the fantasy perspective to see how Washington is going to respond against a not great Giants team in conference as well. Denver players, you're going to want to play them against Jacksonville this week, but don't be surprised to see Jacksonville score a little bit. Probably not as much as last week, though, as Denver's defense is pretty strong. One of the top picks if you're picking up a defense this week. Detroit and Green Bay, we already talked about. Cincinnati's going to go play Chicago. Chicago, of course, losing those 4 left guards, so expect a lot of quarterback duress. Andy Dalton, second worst in the league, only to Aaron Rodgers, literally ranked right next to each other. So you know how bad Rodgers played, and Dalton played the whole game and still finished 1 spot ahead of Rodgers. So expect a nice day in Cincinnati as well. Chicago giving up 34 to the Rams. Healthy Burrow, Jamar Chase going over 100 yards. Probably going to pass the ball around a little more this time. I expect to see some points out of Cincinnati. So some games to watch, some matchups to watch, some plays to make, and go get on that waiver wire. Anything else to add there? There it is.
No, I'm actually going to have to get off here and go on the waivers. Thanks for all the information.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that I'm playing against you, and I'm not going to get any of my waiver picks now because we've already talked about everything.
All of the fab money this week, baby. I'm taking you down at least the first time.
That's fine.
Follow me and Mr. Football today and have fun. Talk a little bit of trash because it's a little bit of fun. And stay safe, everyone.
Yeah, hey, be safe out there. You can tweet us at Yakking Football. Tweet Roop, there it is, at Mr. Football today. If you want to get a hold of us, send your comments, questions, anything that you got. If you want to be on the show and have something to contribute, that we're open to that too. To yackingfootball@gmail.com. Of course, find us on Facebook. We have the Facebook page and the Facebook group. We'd love to have you guys there. Here on YouTube, if you guys are watching the recording, catch us next week. We're going to be on all season. Every Tuesday, we'll be talking ads, drops, and everything that we talked tonight and more at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Sooner time. We appreciate you guys joining us. We appreciate your contributions. Hit us up on the page. Tell your friends. If you're on YouTube, if you make it here, please like, please subscribe. Every little bit helps. And we just love having you guys around. We are just excited that football's here. We love yakking about football. So just, come have a conversation with us. Come yak some football with us. For my amazing co-host, again, best in the biz, Mr. Roop, there it is. I am Chris Fox. Thank you to Whiteistics and thank you to Rob Machado for helping us out with the show. We'll see you guys next week here on Yakking Football. We are yards after the catch, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care. Boomer Sooner, the Ohio State Buckeyes. We'll see you guys next time.